welcome back to the Millennial Thermom YouTube page and online community. I'm really excited today for y'all to hear from Dr. Eva Zingone, what she does and what she loves to do. So welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I love this community that you've created. I think it's so wonderful to bring providers together and also bring parents and families together and give them really intentional support. So thank you so much for having me. I will give a little intro about who I am and what I do. So I am a perinatal and pediatric chiropractor, and I practice with my husband. We see all members of the family, and our office is in Eastlake, so we're located in San Diego. But I also have an online community that I am cultivating of moms that are interested in sort of more the holistic aspects of health for themselves or for their family. So that's a bit of a passion project of mine that I'm excited to be birthing over these next couple months. So that's just a little basic spiel about who I am and what I do.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm using your community as inspo. It's beautiful, y'all. I will definitely link it for anybody who is curious, because I think that you don't know what you don't know. And I think with something like chiropractic care, I did not know anything about it. So just hearing you speak about it, I'm sure is gonna really benefit a lot of people. So what would you say that you love most about what you do?
Oh my gosh. I love so many things about what I do. First and foremost, working with babies all day is the best thing ever. Talk about like continual baby fever, just getting cold and snuggle newborns is the best thing in the world. I think the thing that's most impactful, like the thing that gives me chills still, and the thing that regularly I get emotional about, is helping people learn to trust their bodies again. And for kids, maybe helping them understand how to trust their bodies for the first time. Because of the work that we do, which is really focused on the nervous system, it's different from a lot of traditional chiropractors, the work that we do. And we work with a lot of kids that are really struggling with a lot of different challenges. And oftentimes these families, these moms are so burnt out. They have been to every single specialist under the sun for their child. They've maybe just been dismissed. The things that they kind of know in their mom gut are going on with their kid, and they've just been told, oh, your kid will grow out of it, or it's normal. There's so many things like that, like we had talked about, even like on the postpartum element, peeing a little bit every time you cough or sneeze, like it's common, but is it normal? There's a lot of things like that that happen with, with our children and with our families that get dismissed. And when those families find their way to our office and they tell us that they felt like, they had hope for the first time, or they were listened to for the first time. Like, I mean, it gets me. By the way, I cry about everything ever since I had my son. I cry about everything under the sun. And I do get emotional when I talk about it, because I can think of so many different families where I think about the trajectory of their lives. And like, had they not found our office, who would have listened to them? Who would have held the space for themselves or for their child to heal when everywhere else it was a dead end and they were sort of just given up on? So that's what I love most about what I do. It's what I lay in bed at night thinking about. It's what propels me to run multiple businesses and be a mom and do all the different things I'm trying to do simultaneously, because it's just a no-brainer. It's like, if not me and if not us, right? The other providers that are holding space for these families and that are listening to them and that are changing the paradigm in terms of how we view health and how we support moms and families, if not us, then who?
Yeah.
So that's what I love about what I do.
Yeah, I love that. It's like giving the gift of hope, because I do think that like we live in a society where, I mean, I am grateful for like medical care, OBs, primary care doctors. And I think at the same time, like it's okay to say like maybe sometimes like we aren't getting all of our needs met by visiting the doctor, the pediatrician, the OB. Like maybe there's other ways to get support, because it can feel like if a doctor says like this is just the issue, or wait a year and see if you can get surgery, then we kind of like, well, what, I guess that's it. Versus when we know like, oh, there's different options, there's different ways of healing the body that have been around for generations ancestrally, and just bringing some awareness to that. It's like, I appreciate you for doing that. So this is kind of like a question that I don't think I let you know I was going to ask you, but I'm sure.
Positivity.
You're a professional. What are some of like the common things that people come in seeking support for that you're like, I love working with this, or this is something that we support families really well with, especially those who have lost a little hope in like the medical system?
I'm going to say kids that are neurodivergent in any way. I really see those families just getting beat up by the system a lot, to be perfectly frank. And I don't see there being a ton of like very viable holistic solutions for them. Obviously, there's a whole other tangent I could go on like the insurance model and access to care, for some of these families. But that's also something where I think a lot of different diagnoses get thrown around, and I think it can be very limiting for children. So we really love working with those kids because with the work we do, which is essentially helping to regulate their nervous system so their brain and body can communicate better, it's so simple, right? But that's so profound in that we're not looking to treat their condition. We're not trying to like eradicate their condition or their diagnosis. What we're doing is really just helping to optimize the function of the body and how to remove any obstacles that exist to the body healing and to the child expressing as much joy and as much health as they're capable of, given all of the various genetic and environmental factors that are at play in their lives. So that's a really big one. And I really think that that's something that many people are surprised to hear about when they know that that's something that chiropractic care can help with. I think the other category of people that we really love working with is in the pregnancy, postpartum, early motherhood space, that whole category. Of course, there's the common sort of like aches and pains of pregnancy and postpartum, sure. But in terms of things that people might not liken to chiropractic, babies struggling with issues eating, pooping, or sleeping, especially in those first few months of life. I think that's also something that categorically gets dismissed as like, just wait, they'll grow out of it. But very, very often, mom and baby, their nervous systems are synced up. They're two nervous systems in one. And they go through this experience of pregnancy, whatever's going on in mom's life during pregnancy. They go through this experience of birth, which, by the way, they're doing together. You're both participants in that. And then they're both going through the experience of postpartum, trying to co-regulate with one another, and there's a lot of stress that babies take on from that. And they express it in various ways, but usually it's expressed as some sort of dysfunction in their body. They can't communicate the way that we communicate. So they might just be uneasy. They can't be in the car seat. They cry, they're inconsolable. A lot of that stuff is just like, it's colic. And then they're like, just try these drops. And the parent's like, it doesn't work. They're like, okay, just wait it out. And the parent's like, I can't function like this. Those are things that chiropractic can really move the needle with, that I think makes a huge difference in the whole trajectory of really that family unit that we really love working with, again, mostly because of the impact, right? In the same way that we really love working with children with special needs, it's the impact that we get to have on those people's lives.
Yeah, it's funny you said colic, because I feel like colic is like this, ooh, your baby has colic thing that like when you first have a baby, you're like, oh, I hope my baby doesn't have colic. But I guess like based off of your professional experience, what do you do that helps babies with colic, and how would you even like conceptualize it for those new parents out there?
That's a great question. I think the colic thing is so funny because if you were to investigate or research colic, people do talk about it like it's a thing. Like, I hope they don't get colic, like they're going to catch it, like a common cold. Colic is kind of one of those catch-all conditions in the medical community where it's kind of like, it doesn't fall under any other category in particular. So it's maybe digestive related distress, but it's basically your child is inconsolable. And we're like, they have colic. Okay. I'm always thinking, why? What's the root cause? And I'm also always thinking from the framework, and this is a framework through which chiropractors and a lot of other holistic practitioners view things, which is if our bodies are designed to be healthy, and there's an expression that's a variation or an abnormality, in contrast to that, there's got to be some reason why, right? There's got to be some way that we can restore the body to a place of health and a place of harmony. So the way that I view colic is this is a baby that's in distress. And my question would then be, why is the baby in distress? Very often with colicky babies, there's been a stressful birth or a stressful pregnancy. So we're always asking moms about how that went. And maybe it's not so much the birth experience itself, but it could have been baby's positioning in utero, or it could have been exposure to, chemical toxins, whatever it is. There's usually some form of like excess stress that mom and baby were exposed to. And that stress is being stored in the baby's body. And very often, and I will try to keep my answer concise. I told you I could do a 5-hour Zoom talking about colic, especially. But very often, you know, there are different nerves in our body that control different functions. But very often with babies, there's really a part of the nervous system which is located right at the base of the skull, right in through here, that is called the vagus nerve, right? It's located through here. And the vagus nerve is the calming nerve in the body. And it's a long nerve, and vagus means wanderer. So it sort of travels all throughout the body. And the reason it's the calming nerve is because it connects to our heart and our lungs and our gut. And it regulates our immune function and our levels of inflammation as a whole and social engagement. There's this whole social branch of the vagus nerve. It's really fascinating. But very often what we see as chiropractors, when we do our assessment in our office, we do some scans of the nervous system to measure where the stress is. Very often those babies have a lot of stress in the vagus nerve, and it is disrupting their ability to regulate themselves. That's where the eat, poop, sleep troubles come in. Sometimes all three of those are happening, because if your baby's colicky, they're probably not sleeping, you're not sleeping, they're having digestive distress, you know, et cetera. So how we approach that clinically is we focus on balancing out the nervous system, unwinding stress in the vagus nerve, helping their whole body unwind stress from the birth experience. And those babies typically respond really great to chiropractic care, provided that we've done the assessment and we feel like there are things chiropractically that could be contributing to their distress or their dis-ease.
Awesome. That was beautiful. Thank you so much. So I think like growing up, like chiropractic care to me was like, you know, but could you just like, for anybody else who has that image of chiropractic care, can you just like explain what it is to the people?
Yes. Especially now with TikTok, and there's all of these viral, like people are always sending me these ridiculous videos from YouTube or TikTok of chiropractors doing a variety of, I think, kind of scary looking things. Most people think of chiropractic as something for adults with back pain, and they think of it as cracking backs and cracking necks. When we work with a newborn baby, we are not cracking their back. We're not cracking their neck. It is so gentle. I describe it as really the amount of pressure you would use to check if an avocado is ripe. It's very, very specific work. It may be that we are contacting, you know, the bones of the cranium, or we're holding a contact point in the upper neck. And with babies, with the way they hold tension and stress in their system, we're very often holding a sustained contact or maybe a little gentle pulsing, and we're waiting for the system to unwind. And babies are so innately wired to, you know, respond well to this type of stimulus. Their bodies are so brilliant and so intelligent. They don't have all the layers of resistance that adults have. Babies and animals are both this way. If you've ever seen a baby or an animal get adjusted by a chiropractor, it seems kind of magical, because you'll just see them like, I describe that process. And when I'm adjusting a baby, I'll describe to the parent, I'm like, okay, I'm going to hold this spot here. I'm kind of waiting for, it's like putting your finger on a stick of butter and waiting for it to melt. Like I'm just waiting for the system to go. And you can often see that shift. You know, in older kids, we have other ways of adjusting them once the child is sort of toddler, running around the office. We've got these little clicky tools that we use. But typically that hands-on style with like the popping, cracking, first and foremost, that's not the only way for even adults to get adjusted. There are so many different techniques within chiropractic. But even with that style, it's usually not appropriate, which is also why I always encourage people, if they're curious about chiropractic and they're pregnant or they're wanting to take their kids, find a chiropractor that is actually certified in pediatrics and or during pregnancy certified in the Webster technique, so that they know how to work with those systems. Because getting adjusted while pregnant or adjusting a child, it's not like just adjusting a small version of an adult. Like it's completely different. So usually until the child is maybe like 7 or 8 is when we'd work on that hands-on style in most cases. So it totally, you know, varies as the child grows up. And in most cases, it's vastly different and much more gentle than what most people are picturing.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah. Like I'm envisioning just like care for the nervous system is like what you do in a way and more, right? That's awesome. So just to kind of wrap up a little bit, what do you wish every person in the postpartum season knew about chiropractic care or in general?
Chiropractic care can be such a game changer. I'm going to go back to like the common versus normal. You know, if you've got that feeling like postpartum's a lot, right? It's a lot no matter what, especially if you're a first-time mom and you're like, oh my gosh, there's so much preparation for birth. And then you get to postpartum, you're like, whoa, this is actually what I really needed, you know, to focus on preparing for. So it is hard. And also listen to your body, because just because it's hard doesn't mean that it has to be as hard as it is and that you can't receive support. And I think that with the loss of, which by the way is why I love that your online community is like the village, right? With the loss of that village, the loss of the extended family, most of us don't have access to that. And we're doing it in our own little isolated islands of our nuclear family in our own little household. And we're trying to do everything on our own. You know, I think that that ends up feeling a lot harder than we were designed to experience postpartum in community. So I wish that every mom knew postpartum that there is support available and that there are a variety of different providers that can help them. And that if it feels, you know, unreasonably hard, reach out. It doesn't mean it's not going to be hard, but hard with support feels completely different than hard and feeling alone.
Yeah, definitely. I am all about helping people create this village within this kind of like individualistic, high pace, like fast paced society. And like, how can we reinvent the village in a way? And I think that chiropractic care is definitely one of those pieces. So could you just share how people can be in contact with you, the services you offer?
Yes, they can find us on social media. Our office is Clear Chiropractic, and our Instagram handle is at Get Clear Chiro. I can send it to you. Maybe you could drop it in the thing below. You can find my online community for, I'm saying scrunchy moms. I think most people kind of know what scrunchy means. If you're kind of crunchy curious, again, just interested about the holistic things, it's called Scrunchy Mom Tribe on Instagram, or you can Google it. That's how people can be in contact with us. And in terms of what we offer, again, with our services with chiropractic, a variety of different techniques. I want to just quickly speak to your previous question about what you wish people knew about postpartum care and chiropractic, which is just that it's customizable for how your birth went. You know, I think this is an FAQ we get a lot of, like, how soon after birth can I get adjusted? And it depends on how your birth went. And if you're seeing a chiropractor that really works with postpartum moms, they're going to be able to adapt the entire adjustment if you can't lay face down, or you're not comfortable laying face up, or you're not comfortable sitting, etc. So, oops, sorry about that. I thought I silenced all of my
Yeah,
notifications.
we're human.
But I also, along with that, would like to mention a directory. If you're not obviously in the San Diego area, there is a directory of chiropractors that are certified in Webster technique for pregnancy and also in pediatric care through the International Chiropractic Pediatric Association. So it's ICPA, the number 4kids.org. And there's a national, actually, it's an international directory, and you can look up a chiro in your area. You can also send me a DM on any of our social medias, and I'm happy to help you find a chiropractor. I will stalk their website and see if they seem legit, and I'm happy to help you find someone wherever you are.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I might be hitting you up too, but we'll definitely make sure that people have your handles and website and everything so they can be in touch. So do you have any last words of encouragement or wisdom that just have a chance to share?
Our bodies are designed to be self-healing, self-regulating. I think we're brainwashed to always be looking for answers outside of ourselves in the culture that we live in. And there are really no shortcuts when it comes to true health and to true healing. You've just got to do the work, and it takes time and it takes a village. And I think there's no better time than postpartum to work on that for yourself, because through doing that, caring for ourselves in a way that is congruent with true health, we're able to show our children how they can care for themselves. And that has just endless ripples into the next generation.
Yeah, I love that. I think that before becoming parents, a lot of us just kind of deal with things, right? It's like, oh, I'll just deal with this anxiety or this pain or this whatever. And then when we have children, it really forces a lot of us to be like, wow, am I wanting to model this same thing for my children? Or am I wanting to show up as burnt out all the time or achy all the time? And I think there's no better time to start, well, besides before children, but if you are becoming a parent, like during pregnancy and postpartum, it's all right. At the foundation of this, let's start modeling and start taking care of ourselves. So awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate all your insight. And again, people reach out. I'll be putting the contact, so you should be able to see it here. But thank you so much, Dr. Ava.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Bye-bye.
Bye.